Hey everybody, I'm Titus. I'm from the Jumpkin Quest community. I'm a little bit involved, you could say. And with me here, I have two other people. It's Rikkukun
Hello.
and Dodacku.
What's up?
We'll be looking at the Jumpkin Quest Iceberg that we've created here. After 9 months of the game being out in early access, we came up with some interesting stuff that hopefully you'll find quite intriguing as well. So I'll maybe ask Rikkukun here to start off with the first entry.
Yeah, let's start with the most obvious entry or secret you could say about the game that I think everybody thought about after finishing the early access, which is trying to cross the bridge in Uptown Gates. You can do it with 3 people total. And you cross the bridge and there is just a locked door. And if you play the game, you know that there is a cutscene, let's say it, with Percy that tries to invite you to jump, but you're forced to go down in bog. So that's not intended. And that's a very cool way to start the Iceberg thing. This is one of the most known things about the game. So we put it in the first place.
Yeah, I remember when I was first playing the game, I was really stunned that I fell into the bog, and I thought that something wrong must have happened, that I went off track. I was stumped. I was a bit disappointed that I couldn't get across there, because I wanted to keep climbing and not go back to the bog, like in the OG Jump King.
Every OG player loved going back to the bog, I think.
Yeah, I was in awe at that moment of the game.
And then you start moving slowly and the memories come back up. What I felt seeing that door past the bridge is a tease, definitely, like something we'd see maybe in a future update or something. Maybe we come from that door unlocking like a shortcut, or who knows.
Those were my thoughts after I climbed back up as well, that this may be a continuation, or maybe it's just a gaff, that it won't really be a thing, but we'll see. Time will tell. The other entry on the list is Headfoot King. So,
classic.
Yeah, I guess it's the classic right now. On the Discord server, we just use it as an emote. When Trapezius posted a picture, a teaser of each item, each armor piece having its own icon, you can see in the picture that the OG helmet and the OG legs are next to each other, and it kind of forms a little guy. And Trapezius just thought of making a funny emote where the Jump King doesn't have any torso, so it's just the Headfoot King. And I immediately made a comic about it, but it's generally just a meme.
A great meme.
A great meme, indeed.
Star weapons. Well, I assume that's... for the record, I haven't written any of the entries, so I'm coming here a bit blind. But I know a lot about the game, so I am assuming I know most of them. Star weapons is just a system within the game that gives weapons stars on drop and makes them scale better, basically. And the 3-star drop, which is like the highest amount of stars a weapon can drop with, is pretty insane. Like the damage, maybe, I don't know by how much it gets multiplied, but maybe it hits like 30% more than a regular weapon would.
I know for a fact that S tier scaling gives you a 0.2 multiplier, and the highest scaling, which is XXX, gives you 0.24 multiplier. So that's a big jump. But what's the most interesting about the starred weapons is that right now you can only obtain them by luck. And not all weapons can be obtained twice, so in one playthrough it's not possible to get every starred weapon. Also, the drop percentage is super low, yeah?
Yeah, it's... I think I know that. I think it's 1% or maybe 2% for 1 stars, 1% for 2 stars, and 0.3 for 3 stars. Sorry.
Yeah, and there are also weapons that already are rare, like the rattling weapons, or as you said, the one-time weapons. So it's insane to actually find a 3-star that you want.
Yeah, and at least those, you could say, technically you can farm them if you're insane. But then there's weapons that you can just get, like Tito said, you can just get once. and if you get it with stars, that's yours. But if not, you either start playing from scratch, new game again, or you just forget about it. And I have friends that have dropped like one of those Zanzibar sword at 3 stars.
Yeah.
I
Or
was so
also
envious.
the pipe, the freestyle
Oh
pipe.
yeah, that's pretty funny too. I mean, that's a call to a challenge. They're telling you
For
that.
reference, I have over 300 attempts recorded by the Live Split app when I was restarting the game to speedrun. And I don't think I have ever gotten the
Never?
3-star pipe.
I think I've gotten it a couple times, and I've speedrun like maybe a fifth of your attempts, or maybe a tenth.
Yeah, they were. I did get the metal pipe with stars. It just wasn't 3-starred.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't think I got it with 3 stars either.
So good luck out there. Maybe someone someday will.
But we forgot to mention next patch. In theory, we're getting star forging, no?
Oh, that's right. It's supposed to be a mechanic.
Which is supposed to be a brand new mechanic to add stars onto weapons.
Let's continue with the ketchup. So the game has a lot of typos right now, since we are still in early access. And I think the most iconic typo that there is in the game is actually in the boss subtitle for Fat Black, which is Devourer of Ketchup. I guess it was supposed to be, but they misspelled it, so it's ketchup. And the devs know about this because we reported this months ago, but it's still there. So I think they won't change this, actually. It's become a meme. People bring it up sometimes, so it feels intentional at this point.
Maybe it is intentional, I don't know.
But I tried to check if ketchup is a copyright thing, and it's not. So that doesn't make sense, actually.
I just like how it sounds. I don't know.
There are many different deviations on words in this game, and the writers, they often misspell words or make sentences sound like old English, but made up English.
Yeah.
So
There's
this
also
is
that,
not necessarily a
right.
typo, but if it was a typo and they decided to keep it, that's a really cool concept.
It's like, it reminds me of like Eternial instead of Eternal, right? I don't know if that is that a word? Eternial?
I think it's correct, but it's very old English.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because there's the whole thing of characters speaking in Old English, so you never know if it's actually a typo or...
There's definitely an intention behind like most of them. Maybe there's some typos, but I think in general,
it's good to look out for those, because sometimes they end up actually being typos.
Ketchup is hilarious.
You'd never know. Next entry is the Well Hole, which is actually a location in Jumpkin Quest, and there would be nothing exceptional about it, apart from it being only accessible if you fall in a very specific spot in the map, which is the lower Red Crown Woods area with the frogs jumping around. So this could as well be the most secluded place in the whole game. You are informed that you haven't visited it on the map by like a clouded picture that obstructs that specific spot, but the game never tells you how to get there, and you normally don't die from frogs because they're very weak. So yeah, you have to be very resourceful to figure this out. What do you guys think?
We're talking about the one that's low below
Uncle's house.
Uncle's house. Okay, yeah. I was about to say, those feel like they just made them to prevent you from falling out of bounds, basically. It was like
Yeah, I think that's the intention, actually. I never thought about it, but because if these two spots didn't exist, then you would fall like in random places. It's not
What's
very
weird is that if they're like
coherent,
If they're like out of bounds preventions, it's so strange that they made them areas to be explored, because in the map they do get their own like cloud of non-exploredness, let's say. I mean, while you're playing the game, at least for the first time, you want to see everything, and you see a cloud down there, and you don't even know how to reach it because there's a
Exactly.
locked door that you want to enter, but it's locked from the other side, and you're
Yeah.
like trying to manage, like think about how to get from the other side of that door, and it's just from falling. It's supposed to be a way to prevent you from falling further down or falling out of bounds, I guess. That's my guess, by the way. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think the most strange part is the locked door. It doesn't make sense.
Because
So,
there's nothing in it either.
yeah, right.
They're completely empty.
Yet,
There's rocks.
nothing in there yet.
There's a okay. Maybe Titus knows something that I don't.
No, I don't. I don't actually know anything. But I need to
Okay.
comment on it that they're just able to program like the falling zones or triggers anywhere and
Yeah,
spit you out
that's
anywhere
true.
as well. So
They could just make us yeah, like a wall that guides you toward the left there instead of that. So it is weird. Humorism. That's another one that I'm like not entirely. I guess it's just humors. The humor system in the game. Am I right going there?
Yes,
Okay.
but it's more of that. Like it's very hard to explain actually because the humors in Jumping Quest are based on a real life thing, which comes from the 17th century, which was like a theory that the human body is made or based
17th
on.
century. I thought it was way older. Like
yeah, it's like
it
some
was like,
Oh yeah,
Socratesian-
sorry, it's older. It's way older. I was just looking at the Wikipedia page, and the 17th century is when did fell out.
when they like kind of debunked it. And
Yeah, so it's way older actually.
And the crazy thing
yeah.
is how it lasted so long during
it
human
goes all
history.
the way back to the ancient Greece and Socrates.
Yeah.
And it speaks about the body being influenced by four fluids, which are the known sanguine, melancholic, phlegmatic, and choleric fluids, and they basically make up the character of your of said person, and they can mix together as well to influence more or less that person and their character. Yeah.
And the whole thing was supposed to be that if you had a good balance between those types of liquids, then you were healthy, and that was it.
Yes,
you
just
were
like we have a saying that a healthy body has a healthy mind, then a healthy body has a healthy body, basically, you could say.
So, like, I read about this when I started playing the game because I had no idea about all this. And I remember that since one of the liquids is the sanguine one, which is basically blood, and it used to be the one people had the most of, logically, they used to poke people blood to take blood out of their body to balance those four
That's crazy.
liquids, Jumping basically has made a whole stat system out of that, and it's amazing.
Yes, I think this one is one of the most cool things about the RPG system in the game, because it's because it's based on real life.
Yeah, I love it. It's very original.
Yeah, it's original, and it has that very old, weird vibe to it,
And well, I don't know if we have another entry to explain this, but I guess not. So might as well say how it works in game, right? In game, you actually benefit from having the four humors balanced out. You basically get extra HP.
That's right.
Yes, so it's fitting.
And it also lets you control your weapons more if they align with said humor. The game references humorism in many other aspects that we'll also see later. But for now, I think that's enough to talk about humorism in Jumping Quest.
Let's go ahead with the mandrakes or humoral roots, because now we have a canon name.
If we could carrots.
Yeah.
Or carrots, I guess.
Or grass.
I always
or grass, exactly.
I always thought they were just mandrakes because they have faces.
They look like ones, right? Yeah. A plant with a face.
Yes.
What's that supposed to be?
But why is this on the iceberg? Honestly, it's just layer 1. Currently, there is a bug a pretty common bug that mandrakes spawn upside down, and that's funny.
Okay, yeah, that's
So
that's really funny.
this is one of the reasons. But the other reason we put this here is because not many people know that the mandrakes change faces. After some seconds, they cycle through their 4, I guess, expressions, and this is not very well known.
Yeah, just as you mentioned, the number 4, this is also tied to the humorism. And I think each face represents the humors
Oh,
that the person can
Yeah,
have.
that's clever.
Many people would just go by the mandrakes and not stop and look at them for over
Yeah.
like 20 seconds and see what faces they
Personally,
make.
I only noticed sometimes the mandrakes would have like a shape, a bigger head shape, which is the happy one, but I never noticed the faces themselves.
Armor bases, another entry in the first layer of our iceberg. It's just armor bases basically. The name is self-explanatory. Each starter set of armor has its own armor base. Yep, there's nothing special about it except the Barbarian's armor base, which is not included in the starting set, but you can later buy it from Brown Cloak. That's quite weird,
It
isn't
shouldn't
it?
exist. It's awful. I don't like it.
Yeah, Barbarian is cool without the base. The base is kind
He's a
of
barbarian. He's not supposed to be
yeah.
clothed.
And it looks like he's
Uh,
wearing red tights.
Yeah, it looks so strange to me.
It feels like an item that would be removed, honestly.
I mean, I asked about this precisely, and Thomas didn't say so, but I thought it was like supposed to be an item that they removed at some point, and with the Dread Crown update, suddenly got into the game by accident or something, but apparently not. Also, I want to say armor bases should affect armors that make your skin show. So, like for example, for the barbarian, the base only affects your pants, but it doesn't affect your chest. So if it looks so strange. And then there's other sets like maybe the Warden set or the bloated Bog Dweller set
Yes.
that have a, like when you equip them, you get a tummy.
Yeah,
It's
even
like
the warden.
you
Yeah,
become fat, and it would be cool to combo that with a base and see that you have like a bulging tummy, but it's covered.
Yes.
It's
That would be
the
cool.
armor bases are definitely very strange. I saw in the early screenshots that they also colored some of the armors, but only partially. And it is weird because it only colors a very few armor sets and always
Yeah,
in
they
in a
have a very
different
limited
way.
use.
It's not very clear as to what the armor bases are supposed to serve exactly.
For sure, like aesthetics, but it's very limited right now. All the attributes. Yeah, I love this one. Before Red Crown patch, we had a whole different system of attributes, and they were so cool. They were objectively worse as a video game. Like the mechanics were worse because it was so chaotic, and it ended up not mattering as much because you had so many of them. I think we had 14 attributes total, 7 on each side, and we have like 8 now. They
Yes.
made a whole overhaul of those, but they were super cool. They were more specific, and I personally absolutely loved the icons for the old attributes.
Yeah, these are gone now.
Yep.
Yeah,
Not
I
in
think
the wiki though.
the most interesting ones are the neutral ones. So Credo and Volition. They were the
Oh.
only attributes that actually got removed, in fact, because we don't actually have neutral attributes. So they wouldn't count in the humoral balance, but they would still count as level ups and stats.
So broken.
So they were kind of broken because you could have just like 4 attributes that balanced your humor, and then go all out on Credo or Volition and scale the weapons on that.
Yes,
So
that
that
made
was
certain weapons very OP.
Yeah, exactly. It would just render the humoral balance system kind of pointless. So I see why they removed them. But it's it's a thing to talk about because it's not in the game anymore.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Weapons with Credo and Volition had such an advantage, especially the ones that scaled well on it, because, like Rikkukun said, you could just pump Credo on that and then forget about the whole balancing system. It sorted itself out.
Yeah, you can see why they ditched this idea.
Yeah.
Shield up is. This is honestly my favorite entry in the layer 1 because it has so many cases, So as we talked about earlier, the up-down bridge jump is actually a shield uppy example. But there are so many more applications for this. So if you have like 1, 2, or 3 friends, you can actually skip a lot of stuff in the game. For example, Oinko is the first boss, a required boss that you can skip with a pile of shields, So you just put 2 people or 1 even with the shield, and you skip the locked door that Oinko drops the key for.
Yeah, the blockade. Mm-hmm.
The blockade, exactly. Then you can also skip Black Knight if you pile the shields on the platform, under the platforms that the locked door lead to.
Yeah, for this one you
You
actually
can-
need 3 people.
Yeah, 3. Yeah, you're correct. And then you can also skip. Technically you can get to the Jump King set by not fighting Zanzibar with this. So you can go and get your Jump King set. Then you can skip Gruda's champion with this, with just 1, I think, 1 shield, and you can.
I actually did that on my first playthrough.
Nice.
I was getting so badly hurt by champion. I said, you know what? Since we can skip it, I'm gonna skip it and I'll leave it for later.
You only need 1 shield, right? For
Yeah,
Gruda's
it's only one
champion.
guy there.
Yeah, and I met a random player and we also skipped it, I think. The
That's
boss
great.
seemed so hard at the time. Maybe he was.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most chaotic bosses in the game, and one of the most unpredictable, I would say.
And it goes along with its nature and design too.
Yeah. But
Awesome boss.
the most crazy shield uppies are the ones to skip Mexican, for which you need I think 6 shields or something like that.
Do you mean on the left? Where
on the left.
The handmaiden is? I've never thought about this. But there is like a theoretical skip you can do. You can skip the tower and going through the Tyrant's Ravine. You'd probably need like 20 people and the Nodric one as well. But this is like crazy speculation.
Gnodric is the most extreme example. I don't know, you would need like 20 or 30 people to skip Gnodric, but it's possible.
Maybe one day.
That's why I love this entry so much, because it has so many applications, and we're probably not thinking it all the way through because you would need a lot of people and it's not reasonable. But you can skip a lot of stuff in the game with this technique. So it's very, very cool. I love this.
Yeah, but
I want to mention how insane it is that you can even get more than 4 people in a single lobby. I did not know that either. And I remember doing the huge tower of shields that one time we grabbed a lot of people to play a super lobby, and we were like maybe 15 people, I don't know.
Yeah, and if you have more people like you've said, both of you, boosting is not just to skip bosses is not just the only application you can do with this, because we also found a way to get out of bounds in a couple spots, and it was a pretty silly experience. Jumping out where you're not supposed to, and our character ended up in very weird spots.
Yeah. Also, I think you could skip Zanzibar inside the arena. You can get to the top of the arena with Shield Tower, I guess, theoretically. But I don't think you can exit the arena anyways, because the boss is alive. But yeah, you can do a lot of crazy stuff with this.
Has nobody tried this?
No, I don't think so.
Get out there, do this. Do it. We need to know. Let us know.
Get 30 people ready to play Jump King.
Yeah, the problem is that you can't exit the arena if the boss is alive, so it's kind of pointless,
All right.
But yeah, it's something you can do. Yeah, that's why I love this so much. It's intended They will never remove this thing, so you can experiment with this all you want.
That's what makes the multiplayer aspect of this game so great. Yes,
Yes.
I agree. We are in the second layer of the iceberg, and the first entry, Bellman touching shit. When you head to the uptown outskirts bridge where Percy's supposed to lead you, Bellman is waiting for you there, and you can start a conversation with him immediately. But if you don't, and you wait a moment, he will start talking about a particular thing that happened to him, and he won't give you any details about it, but he'll just be very vague and describe the situation. And he basically says that, oh, I found this thing that looked like a thing, and well, I put it up to my face and smelled it, but it was horrible. It smelled awful, and then he threw it away. And you can kind of deduct, that from this situation that he picked up a dookie and he smelled it.
Yeah, also Bellman usually talks about the area he was or he's in. So the area before that is sewers, so it's likely.
Is it like that?
He has a dialogue for every area you see him in. So it's likely that he would talk about the sewers. He's just been there.
If I had to add something about this, I think I would put this specific point like maybe 2 tiers below down the iceberg, because I think this is some obscure shit.
What Rikkukun said is that, I mean, it only solidifies it further that Bellman was
That's
touching
proof. That's
shit
proof right
with
there.
bare hands.
Yeah, also about the obscure things. Yeah, this is very obscure, but it's not that deep, you know. There are so many dialogues in the game that are hidden. Like the old man also have some obscure dialogues, but I mean, it's not that deep. So
This only triggers if you talk to him before the Percy joins in, or how does it work?
If you talk to Bellman, Percy will come in immediately, so you can't talk to him. It's just his
You have to
idol,
not
like
talk to him.
proximity. Yeah, it's a proximity
Oh, okay.
thing.
Well, I only knew about this because Titus mentioned it before.
yeah, I'll go ahead with the broke achievement. Fun fact, I'm really an achievement addict on Steam, so I often look at the achievements for games I like and try to 100% them. So that's what I did with Jumping Quest. And one of the most up there achievements that you can miss is the broke, that actually got removed at some point, because this achievement wanted you to buy a special item. I don't remember the exact dialogue, but from Brown Cloak, you had to buy a mysterious item. But when you bought it, he would give you just a normal whetstone that you can find anywhere in the game. And if I remember correctly, it costed like 5,000 marbles. Am I correct?
I think it was 6,000.
It was 6,000. It was a
Something
+5,
along those
I
lines.
think, or +6
I'd
filament.
say it was
Or
+6
redstone.
because it's the highest tier that you couldn't really buy that tier, I think, from
Yes, it was
Dirklad at that
unique.
point. It was kind of a unique item that was completely useless because you would need the materials from the tier below to even use it. So there was no point in buying it because by the time it would have been like useful, it was, you could get it from so many other places that aren't like worth 6k. So it was kind of pointless to have there.
Yeah, and also you are not guaranteed to get the whetstone that you need, because you can't use all whetstones on all weapons. So that was a scam, basically. So yeah, they at some point, I think before Redcon update even, they removed this mechanic, but then the achievement stayed in until later. Maybe later than Redcon update, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
and
some people freaked out about that.
Yeah, and then someone complained about this achievement being obtainable, and then they removed it. So this is the only achievement that got removed from the game at the moment.
It's a little correction. It was Dirtclat, not Brown Cloak, but
Oh
that's
yeah, you're
fine.
right.
And right now on Steam, if you look at your achievements page, this is like a blank achievement. It doesn't appear. You have it. Doesn't have any description or picture, but it's like it's kind of there.
Zanzibar, forgive me. I think that's a line that Mr. Black Knight says during his fight. I'm not sure, but I think that's it.
So you're right, Dodacku. It's a line that Black Knight says during the fight. When you just start the fight, he says this, and then he follows with something else. I don't remember honestly, but the importance is this line because the entire Zanzibar name is taken from a meme. Because this line is a pretty famous meme from Twitter that mocked like Dark Souls or Souls-likes in general, where the Twitter says like Dark Souls invented the storytelling that goes like this, and you have a character that shows up and just says random nonsense like Zanzibar, forgive me, and then flays at you with a giant sword or something like that. You can easily Google the original
now
meme.
that you mention it, it's coming to mind. Yeah, I've definitely seen that meme, but I did not remember it was a callback to it. Zanzibar, forgive me.
So yeah, the Zanzibar character actually takes the name from this
The
meme
meme.
alone. And the funny part is that Black Knight says it. So
Are you
that's the
too
joke.
convinced that Black Knight says this?
Yeah, 100% sure.
All I can tell you is when I wrote down the dialogues from both Zanzibar and Black Knight fights, the order in which they say it is randomized, at least to some extent. Not the first line, maybe, but at some point they just start saying random lines in random order.
From a certain pool, yes?
Yeah, and they can repeat it. Yeah, Intruder, Zanzibar, forgive me, the second one. There's quite a few lines he says. It says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Wow, Dodacku can count!
Hell yeah.
To 10, at least. Jagus Groin Protector. The armor set Hero of Jagus, and particularly the pants item. It has a giant peni hanging down from between the legs, a metal one, and it is a case that is protecting, well, the groin. That's basically it.
I had no clue about this, but my cousin, he studies this. He studies like medieval armory and weaponry. And that type of armor is 100% history accurate, like it exists. Yep.
We actually
And
searched
I
it
find
online.
it like such a good detail on Exile's part, the way they made a detail like that on the armor. It's kind of impressive, in my opinion. The fart parry. One day I was taking extreme joy watching my friend on Twitch play on his own and dying over and over again on the fungal fields part. Sorry, I'm kind of going on a sidetrack here. And he randomly parries a fart from one of the Gorath goons, part which makes absolutely no sense because he gets poisoned anyway. And I was just laughing my ass off. But yeah, I guess you can parry farts in this game.
Yeah, Dodacku showed this to me, and I was also quite surprised about this.
Very funny.
Yeah, and also I tested it yesterday because we were making the entries, and you can also parry the burps.
Nice.
The burps?
The burps, yeah, because he burps
other
and
attack.
then he farts.
I didn't manage to parry the fart in the air. I just managed to parry the fart that he does in the front. But I think you can also parry the jump
I think
part,
you can.
know?
Yeah, I think you can.
But the confusing part is that attacks from enemies in this game are scripted if you can parry them or not. So they decided that you can parry these, even though that's not useful, because you still get poisoned.
You would expect it to be a perfect block, if anything, not a parry.
Exactly.
Because
if it
parrying comes with the idea that you stagger the enemy, right? And that's just not how it goes.
But imagine this, the burp and fart attacks being perfect blocks. Then the enemy would just continue attacking you. So you would get stunned, poisoned, and then the enemy would throw another attack out because you perfect blocked it.
No, but perfect block makes it so you don't get stunned as long, right? So you could move like
Yes,
the
but
result would be the same because it's not like
I
the
guess
parry
so.
stuns him.
Maybe you're right, yeah. Black Knight skip is something that Razzie, it's another player that speedruns this game, has found through luck, I believe. He has been killed in the upper area of the Treehouse Bastion, and the enemy killed him in such a way that the momentum of the kill after the death splat carried him through the wall and into the section that is open to you only later in the game after defeating Black Knight. So you basically skip the entire fight by dying. It's like a death skip. You don't have to ever even see Black Knight apart from the cutscene.
Super cool skip, in my opinion. I'm still on the line if it's intended or not, because it feels like extremely lucky that Razzie found it that way, just randomly dying on that spot. And yet, it just makes so much sense geographically. The way you fall down on a platform perfectly for the next area.
It is quite difficult to do if you don't practice it enough to figure out what exactly causes you to go through. I think it's pretty self-explanatory when I said that the momentum carries you through. Each attack from an enemy has a different pushback, you could say. And whether you go through the wall or not depends on that very attack. Also, after you skip Black Knight and decide to defeat Zanzibar, and then go down back to the bottom of Kingswood, Zanzibar has a unique line that he wouldn't otherwise say.
And what is that line?
I think...
I have it right here. How can I break through this thick skull of Black Knight? If only I could ignite that spark of fate within him.
Okay, so this might have something to do with the later entry, so I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about now.
What's left? I think it's Jumping Online. I guess this refers to maybe 2020 or 2019 trailer that we got for basically Jumping Online for the original Jumping. At least I think that's how it was announced. They just we got a trailer where we could see more than one character for Junking, and it was just called Junking Online. That's it. This obviously didn't happen. It ended up the project, I guess, kept growing in scope and size until it became Junkin Quest, which is the gem of a game we're talking about today.
Yeah, perfect explanation.
I know that around 5 years ago, they've started working on Jumping Online. Yeah, so that would be 2020, just like you said. And this is when Vidar joined Nexile around that time, the lead programmer of the game we know today. And he's still actively working on it, so yeah, that's a little detail I can throw out there.
Yeah, and it's Tito's best friend too.
My best friend?
Yeah?
Yeah, okay. I don't deny it. We have a similar taste in humor, I would say, which is very, very strange. Cards. This must be about the Redfin bandits sitting in abandoned ruins below the entrance. They're kind of suspicious sitting there. They don't want anybody to find out, even the boss, which they mention. And I think that's Oinko. That would make sense that Oinko is their boss in that particular area. And they gamble with cards. You can speak to them and gamble to gain or lose some marbles. The cards are actually... There's 13 or 14 cards in each color. So there's red and black. I think it's the Jester. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can also count to 10, like Dodacku. Then there's Knav, yes. Bard, King, and Babe. The Jester automatically loses you the game. The Babe automatically wins you the game. And then red is better than black.
Something that I would love to see Nexile do, but I'm assuming it won't happen because it's such a high amount of effort for such a small part of the game, is seeing the cards actually, like maybe them popping up when you get them, and you can see like your card and the enemy's card, and see some funny designs with the babe. Maybe seeing a card of the babe would be kind of funny.
You know,
Imagination of the red fins on how the cards could be. They could even be like badly drawn or whatever. Like, I wouldn't mind.
A certain visual look
It
would
would
be
give
great.
like more life to this whole card system.
And maybe
thingy.
it's planned. Maybe they just had to design the babe, and well, it's not something super important right now.
They could
before
even
release.
like reuse it later on for maybe, I don't know, we could play cards with the gambling flies
Or you could gamble with other players. That would be great.
yeah. Oh, that'd
Yeah.
be so fun.
Yeah, what I
actually.
thought about is putting a taunt that we know are coming that just lets you play the game.
That is so
I don't know if you
brilliant. Rikkukun,
yeah,
this is
I don't know
brilliant.
if you played Team Fortress 2, but basically there are some
Yes.
taunts that lets you like play rock paper scissors with other players, and that would be so great. It would be in character with the taunts and with this card system that is currently very obscure and undervalued in the game.
Oh, another interesting fact is that this gamble that you can do with the cards is 50-50. I have calculated the odds, and it's basically a 50-50 game, so it's a very fair gamble, which is something that doesn't usually happen when you gamble.
Yeah, right. The wooden shield, I really enjoy like categorizing the items in this game. And wooden shield is actually one of the most obscure items in the game. And it's just a shield, a pretty mediocre one even. And you can only drop this in the first area of the game, which is the Redfin prison. There is a wooden wall that you need to break to go ahead in the game that forces you to use the weapon, the first weapon that you find, which is the pipe. And when you break these specific wooden walls, you have a chance to drop this wooden shield. And the only other place in the game where you can drop this is the Grudas Champion Arena, which has 2 of these. And that's it. You can't drop this shield anywhere else in the game. And it's pretty rare too. I never dropped this actually. And what makes this even rarer is that you can't go back to Redfin Prison. So if you miss it, and you're likely going to miss it because you have just one chance to get it, you have
It's
to
1%.
farm it. Yeah, it's 1% too. You have to farm this in the Grudas Champion Arena, which is very weird. And that's it. This is, I think, the rarest item in the game if you want to farm it.
Agreed.
Let's go forward then. Greg, Act 2. If you were into Jumping Quest at this point, if you get to layer 2, you probably know who Greg is. Basically, he's the dude with a giant hammer that shows up in the first reveal trailer. That is Greg. And by some info, posts from Nexile, and speculation, we know that this guy is the leader of the High Order. But the interesting part, and which led me to put this one on the iceberg, we know that Gnodric is the final boss of Act 1 or Early Access, but the game was supposed to have 3 acts that were like the same duration of Act 1. So by deduction, we can say that Greg was supposed to be the final boss of Act 2 and Krok the final boss of the game. I guess this will change for sure because the scope of the game has changed. But yeah, it's pretty probable that Greg was supposed the final boss of Act 2 like Gnodric is. So that is very cool to see because in the trailer you see the screen divided in 3 and you see Gnodric, then Greg, and then Krolk.
Yeah, it seems like this is what it suggests.
And that's it, honestly. Greg is a very cool character, and I think we will 100% get his boss fight in the final release because in the trailer he's pretty functional as an enemy. So I guess it's pretty much confirmed that we will fight him. But yeah, it's sad that we won't get the big lead up to him, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we're all kind of sad that Jumping Quest didn't take off as hard as the original did, and it's just understandable that with the circumstances in hand, the team had to refocus the scope of the game, and we'll just sadly have to get the 1.0 version earlier than they expected. And with that comes the idea of Greg being Act 2 and Carl being Act 3. But whatever, we'll enjoy them anyway.
Yes.
Black Knight's Monty Python reference. Well, Black Knight is basically the Black Knight from Monty Python, 1-to-1. He's missing an arm, just like in the scene. His arm is cut off. His armor in full is a copy, basically, of the Monty Python's Black Knight.
And fun fact, when we were talking about the entries, Titus was surprised that I didn't know about Monty Python before playing Jumping Quest. I honestly never heard of this. It seems like it's a very big show or movie, I guess. But
it's kind of huge, but it's starting to age, I guess. So people of our generations
might know about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's move on to layer 3. We're getting deeper.
Slop faces. Here we are again, talking about humorism. The humors that make up our character influence how their facial expressions look. So if you put a lot of points into the red attributes, which are sanguine, your face will look a certain way. And if you put them into melancholic attributes, your face will look a different way. Sanguine being a more relaxed and happy humor, and melancholy being rather dark and depressed, maybe. This is also visible on the mandrakes that we discussed earlier.
Yeah, and I find it crazy that this is a thing, considering that 99% of players are gonna be using armor that covers their face. Such a crazy take on character customization that this is a thing in the game.
Is the detail behind Jumping Quest never ceases to amaze me in certain places.
It's also like such a different change from like the approach of a regular RPG, right? Where you just create the face of your character at the start of the game, and that's it. It stays that way. In this game, we only get to choose the skin color, and that skin color comes with like a certain shape of your character's head and face.
Yes, that's also a thing. You're right for pointing that out, that each origin has its own facial kind of expression and head shape to start with.
Yeah, and then it gets modified along the way when you change your stats. It's such a bizarre amount of detail for something that is so not noticeable at all for most players.
You can tell they really loved the product they were making, the developers.
Yeah, honestly, It's very strange. It's a whole strange mechanic.
For us, especially people that like love the game, have dwelled on it for a long time now, it's kind of hard to really tell what's gonna be known or not. The game is already like pretty underground, so maybe we'd be surprised to see how little some things we put up are known, but we have to go with what we think is more rare, right? Removed items. Removed items, as far as I know, refers to the spiky shield, which is a shield that bloated bog dwellers used to drop before Red Crown patch. And it was a weapon, even though it says it's a shield. You used it as a weapon, and you just would bonk people with it. That's it. It had a horrible moveset. It had no textures. And by the time Red Crown update came out, they removed it and replaced it with the Bog Dweller shield, which is a proper shield, an actual shield. Has the same look plus the textures. And that's it, really. The item itself is not actually removed, because if you play with an old save file, you still have it and you can still use it as a weapon, but it's not obtainable anymore. So it's essentially removed for anyone that plays the game today.
I think it acted a little bit as a testing ground for some of the moves, because it seems like it has a mixed moveset of a couple weapons that already exist, but I could be wrong.
It has a head bonk, right, which is probably similar to the Bogo Club. And then I couldn't tell you what the strong attack is similar to.
The other removed item that's in this pool, I would say, is the Red Crown Gate key.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Wasn't thinking about key items.
In, I think, March or something, they changed the area around Red Crown Cavalry. Not as far as Red Crown Update did, but they changed it so Red Crown Cavalry would drop the key that opens, that connects to Treehouse, right? And Red Crown Cavalry actually dropped this item for like a month or maybe even less. And then when Red Crown Update hit, they completely reworked this whole area, and they also removed the lock and the key. So this item just became unobtainable. I don't remember if you can still have it in the inventory if you have a character from back then.
I think they moved
And
the
it would
key. The
stay.
key was where the Red Crown Halberd is right now. And then they removed it completely, like Rikkukun said. It's no
No.
longer in the game at all, I think.
Wait, which key are we talking about again?
Red Crown Gate key.
It's the one that
So
led
it's
you
not the
to...
Red Crown Cave, right? Because the one that you mentioned where the halberd is used to be the key to the cave, to the culprit's cave.
Yeah, to the Culprit's Cavern,
Which doesn't exist anymore either. I think both of them are erased.
Wait, there were two keys? I didn't even know about the second one.
You had a key for the culprit's cavern and one to open the shortcut after Red Crown Cavalry. I think those were two different keys, yes. And one was dropped by Red Crown Cavalry, and the other one was where the halberd is right now. And this whole thing comes down to the game's problem with backtracking, basically, and how shortcuts work. Because as far as I understood, Erkstock mentioned that they were avoiding downward progress, basically. They didn't want you to feel the need to go down or fall in order to progress through the game. They wanted to make it so you didn't have to do that. And that's why before opening a shortcut, they wanted you to reach both sides from the other side, because they didn't want you to open that door the first time you see it and then go down the path that you were supposed to take to go up that door and not the other way. It's kind of hard to visualize, not gonna lie. And I still don't know if I agree with it, because people are gonna go down no matter what if they want to explore the game fully.
Yeah,
there's no way to avoid that, right?
Yeah, the whole culprit cavern in its entirety, I don't see the reason of it existing, honestly, because
no, I think there's a reason, because it lets you skip the boss, basically.
Yeah, but why? I like Red Crown Cavalry. I don't think it needs to be.
But here you're biased because you love
I
Red
am
Crown
biased.
Cavalry.
Yeah, you're right, but
I think skipping bosses is a fun thing to experiment with, because it lets us change paths. Maybe Red Crown Cavalry, for example, was such a hard fight that I think it was positive that you could skip it if you were like having trouble with it. I think that's not bad. What I don't click with is the way shortcuts work and the way they fixed it, or not really fixed it. They just strengthened the mechanic works. They strengthened the way they portray it, which is basically putting two bars on each side of the door, and until you don't take those two away, you cannot open the door, which is still extremely strange. Like, where have you seen this in another video game before? It's very bizarre.
Yeah, I agree.
It speaks to the uniqueness of the game, but it's still kind of a problem because it's weird. People don't expect it, people don't understand it, and even like way further than that, this issue comes to play again, and people don't know how to open the doors of like Gorger Bay, for example, the doors that connect the graveyard with the Gorgling Gorge.
Yes, completely agree.
But yeah, that's why those keys don't exist anymore, because they looked for a different approach than getting keys to open those doors. Spider Cave. I don't even know who found out that it's what's called Spider Cave, but I think it's It's a place between Fungal Fields and Demon Baron Keep that is just called Spider Cave in the files, and there is no spider there, at least not for now.
The tunnels kind of look like a spider, though.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh, you mean the shape of the tunnel? So you mean you think it's gonna be like a
no?
Like there's not gonna be anything there. It's just the shape of the spider that gives it its name.
I'm not sure. Maybe it was supposed to have spiders in it, but if you think about it, it's not that nonsensical. It has a croak spawn chance over there, so it is kind of like you falling
Croak
into
assassin,
a
right?
trap. Yeah, croak assassin, croak's shadow. Yeah, he spawns there, and if you wander into those tunnels, you're kind of falling into his trap, like a fly would into the spider's web.
Yeah, I find it super strange that he spawns all the way up there. But yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it's just I need to look at it again and see if I notice the spider shape. I never thought about it like that.
Okay, maybe the spider shape is exaggerated, but the way the tunnels twirl and curve, it resembles
it's a very
spiders
interesting
in a way.
area for sure, because it also plays a lot with the hidden Rayman walls, I think is what Masitao calls them, because that's what they're called. The walls that only disappear the moment you enter into an area they are covering.
Yeah, Rayman walls.
It's filled with those, and there's holes in the cave that you can fall on out of the cave. If you're not careful with the Rayman walls tricking you into jumping too much. It's an interesting area. I just wish there was more of a reason to visit it, because it's completely empty. And you can only access it coming from Fungal Fields, I think, because the Demon Baron Keep is it's locked from the other side, but that in Jumping Quest means it's locked from both sides until you don't interact with both on both sides. It's a mechanic that I also don't really like.
Yeah, I agree, honestly.
One more thing about the spider cave is that it has an unnerving or unsettling ambience, I would say, or maybe the lack of any ambience makes this place like a portal from one world to the other. I know this is a bit of a stretch, but it is like a calm before the storm. You are heading from a place of fungi, of rotting and chaos, into a very dark place of faith. Demon Baron Keep, basically.
It's almost like a liminal space, you know? Also, the name is very weird. If you didn't check the files, you probably never gave this area a name. It's a very unique room.
Yes, that can be said for it, definitely.
Before the shop UI was a thing, you could gamble marbles with Brown Coke after you finished buying all the armors and equipment from him. But what the information I'm missing is what you would get. Like, would you get more marbles or what? Because that's what I'm missing.
Probably it, right? What else could they give you?
I only heard about this from people on Discord, and supposedly it was a thing that lasted only a week or so, or maybe a bit longer, and then they removed it.
Hot dogless. So what is a hot dogless run? Basically, in Redfin Prison, you actually need to collect the Eternal hot dog if you want to use it. It's not mandatory to do that. So you can actually play the whole game without the Eternal hot dog, and that wouldn't change anything other than make the game much harder. But there are some interesting stuff that you wouldn't know about. For example, if you talk to Percy in the prison, and maybe even later, but I didn't test this. Okay, so what I tested is that Percy gives you the hot dog in Redfin Prison. I guess he does that in any place you can talk to him. You wouldn't know about this if you just picked up the Eternal hot dog in the original spot. And the other interesting thing about this is that in Redfin Prison, you can actually talk to Percy, receive the Eternal hot dog from him, and then go and pick up the original Eternal hot dog. That doesn't do anything actually, but it's funny that you can recollect it from the ground, you know? Did you test this in
Yeah,
other
I did
spots?
test before talking about this. I knew that Igor could give it to you, but I had like no clue that Percy would also give it to you if you didn't pick it up. So I went and tested out the first ones. He gives it to you inside the prison, and that's it. Outside the prison, even the dialogue that's right outside the prison after falling down the latrine, he doesn't give it to you anymore. In that, they basically considered if you missed it at that point, they would give it to you.
Yeah. The other stuff, in fact, is that Igor actually gives us the eternal hot dog only if you select the advise option in his dialogue, which is not something that you usually do, especially if you're trying
You
to do
might do
a
it.
hot Douglas run.
You might do it the first time you talk to him, and that's it, basically.
Yeah. So it's very weird that they decided to do this way.
I think it makes sense. It actually makes sense because the only time that you might actually press advice button on Igor is the first time you meet him, and that's that's like the time that will matter if you don't have the hot dog yet, right? So I think that's where the design choice comes from.
I guess
They're just making it so there's as low a chance as possible for you to miss the hot dog unintentionally. Basically,
Yes.
that's the whole deal. I assume they want you to give to have the choice of not picking it up if you don't want to. That's why it's a pickup, and that's why you have to interact with things in order to get it. But they really don't want you to miss it unintentionally.
That's Hot Douglas run, and I think we will return to this with the introduction of curses in the Phantom update, but we will see.
On a side note, the advice that Igor gives you actually make a lot of sense, but only after you played the game, because they seem kind of vague or like Igor is talking kind of nonsense. But then when you play through the game, these keywords or like the suggestions he makes, you can connect the dots and really figure out what he's talking about exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about music. In the original Jump King, there are not many tracks. Most of them are ambience, but some of them got reused in Jump King Quest in some way or another. And what's fascinating is that some of the references are not that clear. So the most obvious one, which most people would hear as soon as they start the game, is the main menu, which is just the main menu from Jump King, but with different instruments and presentation, I guess.
Grandiose one.
Yeah, exactly. Where the first one was just like retro inspired. And the other obvious one is the Boggling Shrine music, which is actually from Ghost of the Babe, which is the Molding Manor music. It's the same melody, again,
It's
with
another
different...
classic.
Yeah, great track, but with different instruments. And this lets me talk about the geography, you could say, of Jump King Quest. It seems like the game is trying to convey that the map is the same, but at the same time, everything is so much bigger. If we pretend that the sewers are the same from the first Jump King, then the space from Mangrove Pits, which is where we start in Jump King 1, and the sewers is humongous compared to Jump King Quest. So the map is completely grown in size. On the other side, we have the Boggling Shrine, which is on the east from Mangrove Pits. And that actually could be in the same location of Molding Manor. So we can say that Boggling Shrine was actually Molding Manor if we go on the track alone. And geographically, it makes sense. And that's a very cool way to tell
Straight above the
a
bog.
story. Yeah, and it's also, exactly, it's above the bog. So it makes sense geographically.
Never thought about this.
And the other thing that I wanted to talk about, I found other two references to the original soundtrack, which is, one is a very big stretch, but the other one, I think it can be like a more reasonable reference, which is the Mangrove Pits music is very, very similar, especially for the instruments, to the snow-covered Red Crown Forest in the New Babe Plus. It has very similar instruments, a very similar tone, And I also made it make it listen to a friend, expert in music, and he told me that they use very similar structure or melody, if you can call it like that. I'm not a big music expert, but they are very similar tracks. And the other reference, I like to think that it's a reference, which is the Fat Dawn boss fight music. And what it reminded me was the Bugstalk music from Ghost of the Babe. These two tracks are not very similar, especially for the rhythm. The Fat Dawn music is way faster. The bass is much higher than Bugstalk. But the instruments are super similar. And also, I made this one listen to my friend, expert in music, and he said something about the chords that are very similar. So there is something there. And the cool thing is that Fat Dawn is a big fat fly, and in Bugstalk we follow a fly. So there is kind of connection there.
It's literally called Box Talk as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a vibe connection for at the very least. I had no clue about any of this.
Yeah, other than these references, I don't think there is much else. I hope that they will take more, especially the tower music, which is pretty iconic from Jump King 1, because the original Jump King map doesn't have tracks, actually. It just have the tower and the ending. Most of the actual melodies are from New Bay Plus and Ghost of the Bay, which are not very iconic. I love them.
I love them.
Yeah,
all.
I do love them, but they are pretty underground in popularity.
I'd say Molding Manor is pretty one of the famous ones, no?
Yeah, it's very, very great. But
It's
not
definitely one of
many-
the catchiest ones.
Yes, but not many people reach Molding Manor, you know?
Yeah,
There is
that's also
that.
true, I guess.
Many people get filtered by main map alone.
Wind. Okay, wind is an interesting one. I think there's only one place in the whole game with wind, which is right below Frank Bastian's boss fight. There's some wind that throws you toward the Ho encampment. What is high order encampment? Yeah, Ho. We call them Ho.
We do.
And yeah, that's it, right? That's the only place with win in the game. It's used like it's a whole mechanic in OG jumping, and it's a very annoying one. By the way, it's probably my least favorite because of how time consuming it is. But it was only logical that we'd get it in Jumping Quest. I of course expected to have like a whole area with wind at some point. I don't know if we're gonna get that or not. Maybe we get a curse instead that makes us have wind for the whole game.
Oh
that's
boy,
very
that
cool.
sounds awful.
Thought.
Yeah, but I think that's what's gonna be. Curses are gonna be
Sounds
awful.
awful.
Oh,
By the way, there is another place in the game with wind, but I don't think it's
Yes?
functional because I don't know if you how do I explain this? The last Igor before Gnodric, there is a tower that has like a whetstone, a +6 whetstone, and there is the visuals for the wind there, but I don't think it's working there because I tried jumping in that many times, but it didn't work. So that's very weird.
that particular wind, it works below. If you fall down, it will push you onto the platform that you get out of from
yeah, so
McChicken.
that you're right. So that's what happened. I didn't understand why I was falling on the right, but yeah, okay. So it works like below, but the animation is up there.
Yeah, I think it's
Very
something's
weird.
broken there.
It seems like it was supposed to be used for an area, but then they just scrapped it, and I don't see a reason why they put it below Frank Bastian Arena, honestly.
Yes. After your comment, I have
strange.
a feeling that it will come back to haunt us. And I believe it is just a mechanic to avoid really big fall chains. So it just nudges you in the right direction when falling from a very high place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
could be.
But
Yeah.
having like paying, it plays such a much more important role in the first game, and that's why I expect it as a curse or maybe a whole area with it. We'll see.
Grobe. Do you even know who
Grobe?
Grobe is?
Growth
No?
with D or
No, Grobe. Grobe?
No, never heard of it. What?
That's why.
Oh yeah, it's the guy right next to Matt, right? You love that
Yeah,
one.
there's a guy next to Mud. Grobe. Yes, let me just
Barely
say that.
visible guy, but you
What?
can't even see him.
If you disable shadows, you can see a guy just standing in the background. And if you're following the quest line from the monastery about finding out what's blocking the flow of the holy water, Grobe just kind of spells out "Ugh" as you pass by. And when you ask Mud about some help, he just says, "Oh yeah, don't ask Grobe over there. He hasn't learned to speak yet."
This is so random. This could be even layer 4, honestly.
Yeah, this is definitely obscure as hell. If you're playing with shadows enabled, you can like see a shape. If you look very closely, you see him right here, right next to my feet. You see a head,
What
a shape of a
the
head.
hell?
Let me see if I can turn off shadows. There he is,
Oh!
Mr. Grove.
It's
Yeah,
like camouflaging with the
now that we're
background.
talking about Grove, let's talk about Mutt. Mr. Mutt over here. Hey, my name's Mutt. Bye.
Yeah, I love it.
And his friend over there that I think he talks a bit more than Mutt the hot dog seller, which by the way, he just needs to have a better use of his hot dog selling mechanic now that
Yeah.
now that there's slop all over the place and Mr. Igor has like colonized his whole area over here.
Yeah, so
Uh,
fun fact, mud was the reason I tried going without the hot dog until this point. So props to him for making me do that.
The two entries in the third layer, they're a little bit connected. I will start with the Old Faith. This is also something that's only come up because of an item description. Two of them, two item descriptions, and they essentially say, dirty shirts reeking of burial soil. The graveyard has been abandoned since the Old Faith fell out of fashion and is now rife with bog dwellers. So the Old Faith that they're speaking here is most likely the faith or the belief in the smoking hot babe. Just like another description says, Kingswood, where jump kings of old are fabled to be buried under the roots. It's what Rikkukun referred to earlier. Those two descriptions combine the idea of the Old Faith existing, which is, I think, all about the babe, the smoking hot babe. And along that, there is also the entry about ancient gods having their role or place in the heights, in the world of Jump King Quest. They are some sort of deities or higher beings, one of which is the Smoking Hot Babe, and she has probably a religion out of her, or at least a belief or some sort of following, which Zanzibar is a believer and an upholder of. There is also the Lady of the Bog, which all mudmen are in a way connected to. The monks from the monastery at the Bog Beach seem to be bound to this religion as well, and that stature of the Lady of the Bog Lady.
August Regina.
August
August.
Regina.
This is Latin. There are many made-up words, and none of us actually know how to pronounce them correctly, so we just do whatever we please, and then we frown at each other because we think our pronunciation is correct.
No, I don't think mine is, to be honest.
There is also Giagos, who is referred to as the god of luck. The bandits believe in him because they gamble, and they speak of him. That they say that Giagos is with them if the luck is on their side. But also there is the armor set that we talked about earlier, the Hero of Giagos armor set. Inside the Brotherhood, at the Emergency Council, there is word of the Lord and his light. So one would assume this is the Lord of Light, the God of Light. But is it the same God of Light that is mentioned in one of the descriptions of the Barbarian set? A great helm that calls back to the style of ancient Jump Kings. The word ancient mentioned again, as you can see. I think something about Sogol's shining rays, which would imply that they believed in a god of light of some sort. Is it the same god of light, Soggles, that the Brotherhood prays to and believes in? I don't know. He could as well be the god of fate, which would give another connection to the armor of fate. But that is also just speculation. Just like there's the god of light, there perhaps might be some sort of lord of the darkness or god of the dark, which is the evil symbol of an eye in the Demon Baron Keep. This deity or god or being is never mentioned anywhere, as far as I know, but perhaps it's a loose end that will be expanded on in the release of the game, which I'm very much waiting for. There are also 2 other beings mentioned. Grudas, one of the bigger ones, just like Grudas has their followers, the cultists, and the goons, as well as frogs being tied to that. He is the god of chaos, so all that is deprived and twisted, minds warped. Malkonen, also only from a Knight in Description, he is supposedly the god of cats and the force of chaos.
Conversation that I had with Thomas once, where I dared to ask him how does HP work in the game. He told me that that's ancient lore lost to time, only known by gods. I don't know if that tells you anything, but I guess gods exist.
Ancient lore lost to time.
How many gods are there? 7? 6?
That we know of. I already counted them for you because I know how to count, and there's 8 in your list.
Yes,
maybe,
you do, but only to 10.
Maybe there are 2 for each.
8 is inside the bounds of 10, so I'm good.
If I look at the factions that I've got here, the High Order would believe in the Babe, so that's 1. The Dark Faith perhaps has their own god of darkness. The Fly Mafia perhaps not. The Order of the Mother would be the Bog Mother. The Famished don't seem to believe in anybody. Yet, maybe. Grudas. Malkonen is a god of cats of some sort as well, so that's 5. Ratling's not really. Krolk, I think he's tied to the Dark Faith.
Yeah, seems like it. Diagots?
So yes, that's the god of luck. And Soggles, the god of light. I forgot about that guy.
Yeah.
So that's 7. Yeah, Dodacku, you're really good at counting. I should just put my faith into you.
1, 2, 3.
In you. Put my faith in
he's
you.
right. I counted lines, and there's 8 lines because Soggles has so much text. Yep.
Okay.
I guess I can't count. You cannot trust me anymore.
I trust Dodacku.
I wanted to talk about this because it's my favorite boss, and it's Red Crown Cavalry. And specifically, we're talking about pre-Red Crown update, Red Crown Cavalry. First of all, this one is my favorite boss in the game. I think it nails perfectly the vibe of the game. The co-op is very good in the battle because the dude comes at some point to help the boss. And in general, I love the arena, I love everything. But the reason this entry is here is basically because of one punchline that I'm conserving for the end. But I just wanted to talk about like the changes that this boss got during the early access. Before Red Crown update, this boss didn't have the whole area around him, basically. That was added with Red Crown update, first of all. Then the arena was much smaller, and it didn't have the borders. The corners weren't actual ground, but were mud. So basically, it was a very close and small arena. So you had to take the center, and if the boss pushed you to the corners, you were pretty much screwed. And that was very fun, honestly. That was a very big spike in difficulty for Red Crown Forest. But the punchline, wait, the punchline that I don't think even Titos knows about this, is that in the first Sigma test, this boss had a different theme, a different OST. He had the Cockatrice theme. And you can still Google this and see people playing the Sigma test, the first one that they did like back in January. Yeah, he had a very rudimental version of Cockatrice theme, but it's the same melody and everything. It's just with different instruments.
Different instruments?
Yeah, it's like a different MIDI. I don't know how to explain it, but the melody is there, but it's played with different instruments.
Right, cool. It's a very nice detail. I didn't know about it, you're right. In the Sigma test, they also just threw a bunch of stuff into the lower red crown, and that was it, right? There wasn't nothing after that, coming after that.
Yeah, it ended after Red Crown Cavalry. Like there was the old man that blocked your path to Treehouse, and it ended with Red Crown Cavalry. So Red Crown Cavalry was also the final boss of the Sigma test, if you can call it.
I did not play the tests, so the first time I played Jump King Quest was in February, I think it was, when it released on early access. And I remember spending like maybe easily 2 or 3 hours fighting the Red Crown Cavalry with my friends. We sweat, tears, but we managed to beat it. It was definitely too hard for the stage in which you find him. I understand why they nerfed it a bit, even though the memory of him beating my ass is always going to be there.
Yeah,
I have very similar experience.
Yeah, same. I have a very special place for Red Crown Cavalry, honestly. It's my favorite boss in the game for a reason. And yeah,
It's super fun. It's super fun.
It's also basically a wall, a filter for many new players. Actually, I saw many streamers drop the game at Red Crown Cavalry.
Yeah, which is probably a bad thing, but at the same time, this happens a lot whenever you manage to beat that barrier. You feel kind of proud of yourself. It's kind of part of these games, especially if you go back to Souls-likes, beating a hard boss that you eventually manage to beat and stuff is a great feeling.
In Boggling Shrine, there is a library, which is very bare bones right now, but perhaps we'll get some books there later and track records or whatever. The librarian that's on the spot is just some wizard dude. But the library itself, on the map, it's called Bramblian's Library.
Yes.
And just like there are 2 guys called Mud in the Bog Beach, which is just a reoccurring joke, I guess, that all people over there are called Mud, not very sophisticated. There are also 2 mentions of Bramblian. One is during the emergency council I just mentioned. It's the guy standing on the right. He also has some things to say, and he's the one that has doubts about Percy in the beginning. And the other mention of Bramblian is in the library's name. So one could assume that the person standing in the library is Bramblian, but actually it would make more sense that that person would just be the librarian. Perhaps not Bramblian, but just the librarian in the wizard outfit.
Jump King's resting place. Zanzibar quizzes, which is the gloves basically from Zanzibar set. And I don't have the item description in front, but it basically says that the Kingwood, which is the area where you fight the Zanzibar boss, is the resting place for the Jump King of old.
Yes,
for the
its roots of old. I think it was the roots of the Kingswood tree.
Yeah, under the roots of the Kingwood tree. So basically, we have the confirmation that the Jump King that we play in OG gets buried under the Kingwood tree, which is very poetic in a sense, because that's where you start in Jump King. You start at the roots of the tree that is Kingwood, which is much smaller in the original Jump King, but it's that tree, because in the area you also see basically a reference with the platforms right there. That's the same area. It's the top of Red Crown Woods in the first Jump King.
Yeah, the triple platforms.
Yeah. So I guess it's a head canon, yes, but I think it's pretty plausible that the original Jump King gets buried there. It's, I think, what is implying.
Yeah, and in retrospect, if you look at the original game, it's quite funny because it implies that most people would end their journey right there under Kingswood because they would just drop the game. They wouldn't handle it, you could say.
Oh, yes.
That's a certain way you can interpret it.
Yeah, and also this is where like the Dark Souls storytelling really comes in, because that's usually how Dark Souls tells its story, by item descriptions. So this is a pretty clear reference, if you would call it, to Dark Souls. We get a pretty big lore drop in a random item description, and it's so cool that I looked it up like in the game for no reason. I was reading like a lot of item descriptions, and when I saw this, I just I screamed.
You screamed out of joy and excitement.
Yeah, like excitement. I was playing my first run with a friend, which also played the original Jump King, and we were mind blown by this.
Young Rikkukun shouting, "Ah!"
Young, like
Fanboying
8
over
months
Jump
ago.
King.
Yeah, totally.
I know that the devs have a wiki of the game. They have their own Wikipedia that they created, which has the story. They are, of course, never going to share it, but it exists.
And that tortures Titus to the bone.
Oh, it doesn't. I think it's great that they have this sort of tool at their disposal and that they take it seriously.
No, what I mean is
to
that
inspire.
you get tortured by the fact that you'll never be able to read it.
No, I understand. I'm not tortured by that fact. I know that good storytelling is also always ambiguous and never explained fully. It is something that players try to like find out on their own and to write the different part of the story that isn't told, you know. Am I getting too philosophical here? Maybe I am.
No, you're good.
Maybe.
We've come to the 7 relics. And the 7 relics are rumored to be magical items of great power that have been scattered, never lost, in the world of the heights. And supposedly, when one gathers all of them, they become a very powerful being. And it is also rumored the true Herringer, which is directly tied to the story, or what part of the story was there during early access, who will return the equilibrium to the world of heights and defeat evil Krolk to rid him of the possibility of claiming the Babe of Power for himself and his evil deeds. So the 7 relics are definitely the Sword of Light, which is given to Percy during the emergency council meeting of the Brotherhood in Ronnie's pub in the outskirts of Throne. The other relics are most likely the armor pieces of the Armor of Faith, which is also briefly mentioned in that meeting. Probably leg pieces, that's one. Torso, gloves or gauntlets, and the helmet. The helmet is supposed to be lost, or its whereabouts are unknown for the time being. The armor is in possession of High Justicer Greg, the judge of the throne and the leader of the High Order. And that armor is supposed to give great power by itself. But it seems that it won't work unless you have all the pieces combined. So the fact that he's missing a helmet doesn't let him take advantage of that power of the Armor of Faith. So we're at 4 pieces plus the sword, that's 5. And the other piece is definitely the crown of the Lord of Light, which Krolk has. And you can actually see that crown corrupted, perhaps, by the evil power that he possesses.
It is bad vibes.
And his bad vibes. He has it on his head, and there is a little eye symbol on it, which might reference something or might not. I don't know. And we're only left with the last relic, which could be the pendant that Percy presents during the council meeting. It's something that he had from the beginning, as far as we know. And it is a symbol and also a gateway to obtaining all of the relics and maybe combining them, which would make the person very powerful. That's it.
Crazy lore drop from Titus.
That's only speculation, though.
Yeah, you will never be able to remember that amount of information. Better than Titus,
Yeah, he's our librarian for the jumping lore.
for sure.
We enter the fourth layer of our iceberg, and the first entry, Zanzibar's letter to Black Knight, is more of a lore thing than anything else. Maybe I will quote something first before I explain exactly what this is about. One of the things which Bravely and Reddings talk about, this is actually another entry on the iceberg, which we will get to. They are the two Red Crown Knights on top of the Treehouse Bastion, which have a secret conversation that activates if you only see them on the corner of your screen. So if you don't come into close contact with them, which normally they start scolding you and taunting you in front of Black Knight. In one of their conversations, they talk about Zanzibar's letter to Black Knight, and they say exactly this. Did you notice that the Black Knight was in a foul mood during lunch? I would be too if I were missing an arm. Quiet, Dumbo. I mean, after the letter arrived. The one from Zanzibar? Yes, I wonder what it was about. Me too. Anyway, let's keep our eyes open. Right, we are on duty after all. And this is where the conversation ends, but if you notice during the hidden dialogue, when Zanzibar speaks to himself after you skip Black Knight and you defeat Zanzibar, he says, "How can I break through that thick skull of Black Knight? If only I could ignite that spark of faith in him." And this is, it feels like a connection to the dialogue he normally has in Kingswood with Black Knight, which goes like this. Black Knight saying, "But how can I be sure, huh? How could there be a babe up there? No one believes that stuff anymore." Zanzibar, "Believe it, brother, let your heart soar with the truth. Everything I've told you about the truthacy is real. You know I cannot lie, brother. Join me at the council. It is for your own good, Black Knight. I won't promise a damn thing, whatever. Maybe I'll show up just to prove you wrong." And then they go on about you eavesdropping on them. So if you consider all these parts of dialogue, it becomes apparent that the subject that they are discussing is Zanzibar trying to convince Black Knight about his rights and ideals. Him being the White Knight, where the Black Knight is obviously black. He's the dark character, or one of those that is more influenced by the Order and not by like a higher cause, which the Order was supposed to be. But it seems like Zanzibar, in his letter, wrote exactly this and tried convincing Black Knight. It's all speculation, of course, but that is what made him upset, and it continued their rivalry and distrust to a certain extent. What do you think?
What you're saying is that the letter that they talk about is about the whole Zanzibar trying to convince Black Knight to follow him in his quest for the babe.
Yes, he says that everything I've told you about the truthacy is real. You know I cannot lie, brother. Join me at the council. So he wants him to be part of this about the truthacy, because later in the truthacy, it is mentioned that the true Herringer is supposed to fight Krolk and so on. If you look at it like that, just like how I explained it, it becomes pretty clear. And it makes sense. You can kind of connect these events. But also, if you are a little skeptical, you take it with a grain of salt, and maybe it means something else, or it's like part of a bigger thing that the devs have planned.
Yeah, I just wish we could see more of these characters. More interactions, more scenes with them.
Definitely.
I honestly didn't knew about the hidden dialogue of Bravely and Reddings. And
they've got so many things
cool.
to say.
And that's very cool in the first place. And then this letter is so interesting too. And the fact that to see that dialogue, you have to skip Black Knight. It's so
it's way cooler. I have a theory of my own that those are products of the game not being like fully fledged out, and they just didn't know what would be like how the pieces would connect gameplay wise, and if Black Knight would be a mandatory boss or not. Maybe the key didn't exist back then, and maybe that's why they had like dialogues prepared in case you hadn't beat them. But it turned out the way that it turned out, which is you get some really obscure dialogues that you only see if you do like super specific things, which is really cool.
It's
a
very
really
cool.
cool little secret.
It does
And
seem
also,
like this.
question for Titus. Can you actually see the Bravely and Redding's dialogues, or you can actually see them in the game?
Yeah, you normally see them when you approach them. You just can't get close to them because then this is like the proximity trigger, and then they go on with their dialogue that is like the interactable dialogue with you.
Oh, okay.
It's not a conversation because it's one-sided from them.
It's like eavesdropping, basically.
Yeah, eavesdropping. That's right. I think I'll carry this further with Bravely and Reddings, talking about them a bit because it's relevant.
So is that's the name of the guards?
Yeah, so the two Red Crown Knights at the Treehouse Bastion are called Bravely and Reddings, and they have many funny things to say, and also very interesting that opened my eyes. Okay, so Reddings is the guy on the right, and Bravely is the guy on the left. They speak about Jorge, the High Order Knight, how they look up to him, and how the other knight looks up to Noscombe, and so on. So it only connects the characters further into their like group in the High Order. They also have many gags, funny dialogue. I'm gonna skip those, but I also want to tell you the most interesting one, which is Troubling Times, is it not? Yeah, the Redfin constellation has been up for many years now. Is it 50 at this point? At least. But with our vigilance, Krolk receives less recruits. The troubling times they mention, and the fact that they say the Redfin constellation has become a thing at least 50 years ago, that gives us a time reference, and we can definitely say that the Redfin constellation has happened at least 50 years from now.
Yeah.
So all the Redfins and this time period has existed for 50 years. Since the first star, which is the Star of Redfins, appeared on the night sky, 50 years have passed. And that's a fact.
Okay.
That's cool. This will be very important when we actually try to map all the events of the game.
Oh, he's already tried. He's done it.
Yeah, but honestly, there isn't much to put in there, and you can see just how bare bones the timeline is. Although, when the game comes out and when the story drops and the cutscenes and all that, I'm really looking forward to that. We
have a clear date now, and the fact that it is in a secret dialogue, it's so cool. Boss Vector, I think, is the most interesting gameplay thing about these deeper layers, and it is the fact that you can actually enter the boss arenas from behind, and to do that you have to abuse multiplayer, basically. So it's another cool interaction with multiplayer that you won't think about if you don't play the game.
But definitely unintended.
Yeah, I think this one is unintended, but it works, and I will explain you how. So basically, if you have a friend that didn't beat the boss, for example, let's say Warden, okay? So you have a friend that didn't beat Warden, and he is forced to be in the earliest room before Warden, right? But you already beat Warden, so you can actually go ahead and go in the later rooms. So when your friend enters the arena for Warden, you can then enter the arena in the same boss instance, but from the right. And this doesn't sound that interesting, but it is for certain arenas, especially for Zanzibar and Gnodric. Because if you know how these two arenas are made, you usually enter the arena at the bottom, right? But if you enter the arena from behind, you actually enter them above the boss. So for Zanzibar, you enter the arena above him, and he can't get to you. And that's a very interesting soft lock for Zanzibar because he can't do anything to you. I'm thinking about Fat Black because that's the first one that we tested. And if you visualize Fat Black's arena, there are these transparent platforms that usually spawns after the boss dies. But if you enter from the back door, you downwarp to the first available floor. So you go through them because the back door is on these transparent platforms. And when you exit from the back door, you just downwarp to the arena. This also gives you like the technical workings for when you exit a door. So
yeah, and that definitely doesn't sound intended.
yeah, that doesn't sound intended. So the game works like this, I'm guessing. The doors have a coordinate, and you just spawn there, but then your character gets downwarped to the first available floor. So that's how these transparent platforms interact with your character entering the boss arena from the back door. And the other very interesting arena is Gnodric. So Gnodric has all these platforms, these wooden platforms that are way above his arena. So when you enter from there, you see just the
Right, the strings.
yeah, the strings, right. And also Titus mentioned that Gnodric has an idle animation that you only see by doing this.
Yeah, it's normally something you can't see because Nogdrick always has aggro on you when you're on the arena and the main platform, not above him. And when he doesn't see you, he's just kind of floating there, left and right.
I'll have to check that.
Yeah, so this is a pretty cool unintended thing that you can do with multiplayer. An outlandish theory that I put in here. We know that Malkonen is the god of cats in the Jump King quest lore. What if the ghost of the babe from Jump King 1 is actually connected to Malkonen? Because the Tower of Cats is a very weird location by itself. But then we can draw the connection to Malkonen. These are the only cats we know of in Jump King. So the connection is pretty clear. And then we can go a little bit further. In Ghost of the Babe, we see a strange NPC in the Tower of Cats. That NPC doesn't say anything interesting, he just meows. And the other interesting thing about this is that the right section for Jump King Quest, for example, where Cave of Glee is, could be geographically where the Tower of Cats was in Jump King 1. And in Cave of Glee, we actually find the Close of Malkonen.
Is there anything that makes you think that the Tower of Cats is geographically the same place as the Cave of Glee? Or is it just the close?
If we go by geographics, we know that Ghost of the Babe is on the right of the original map. And the Boggling Shrine could be the Molding Manor. So the Tower of Cats should be like some meters or kilometers, if you want,
right.
above the Molding Manor.
Because it's also on the right side of the map. Okay,
yeah,
right.
So I guess that Tower of Cats should be kind of there, and that's where we find the Close of Malkonen.
Yeah, it
so
seems
I'm
like
not
it
saying
doesn't fall far from there.
Yeah, so I'm not saying for sure, as I said, that the strange cat we see in Ghost of the Babe could be at least connected to Malkonen.
One curious thing, what we know is that there's a chest in the bog that's called Malkonen chest. The first theory was that the claws were there initially and they moved them from there at some point for whatever reason. Maybe it's not that. I have no idea. It's not even something that you can find without looking at the files of the game. So maybe
I completely
it's
forgot
nothing.
about the chest of Malkonen. That's really cool. Something to add about Malkonen's claws. that in the description, it doesn't only say that Melkonen is the god of cats. It's also mentioned that he is the force of chaos, which implies that he's also part of the Gruda's cult, like the Gruda's champion is, and the cultists are, and so are the frogs, but more on that later.
Yeah, also, why would the claws of Malkonen be in Cave of Glee? I guess Cave of Glee is very connected to Grudats.
That sounds quite feasible. What the hell is going on with the out of bounds stuff, guys? I know there's some areas that are not accessible and they're like outside of the map. That's all I know.
Okay, so as I said, I didn't see these areas with my eyes because I honestly didn't bother modding the game. But Titus explained to me that there are two big things out of bounds. One is in fungal fields, and it's a whole section in the right side of the map that is locked by a rock wall or a big platform, I guess. The most interesting part of this is that there are like jumping sections. So this was, I guess, unfinished or a cut. And the other interesting thing about this is that on the map, you can see that they tried to connect this section to the existing platform that we see now. So I guess this is either a cut section or an unfinished one that we will see in the final release. And the other thing, but I'm missing some parts here, is a village that is very different from the style of the game, if I interpreted it correctly.
Yes,
But
it looks very bare bones, very testy. I don't know how else to describe it.
But I don't remember where it is.
I think it's in Red Crown.
Yes, it's village. It's a village in Upper Red Crown. It wouldn't be as interesting if not for the name of the tower in the same area, which is the Vacant Tower. The Vacant Tower is actually called Old Town Tower or something of the sort. And that proves that maybe they were going for a village, old village, with the tower being part of it. But they ditched this idea, or maybe they weren't ready to reveal it, or it is something that we'll see in the future. Maybe we won't know. The village is not textured; it's like a sketch, you could say, from brushes and blocks. But it has a very unique layout. Nothing like copy pasted from the side of the game. That's basically it. You explained it quite well, I would say. Something to add to the fungal fields area, which is it seems like it's covered up, the wall that you mentioned. There is a little lead up that goes beyond the wall and the camera's boundaries. It looks on the map, even above graveyard, like there is supposed to be an area there. Like the map suddenly just breaks off because they didn't want to spoil anything that they were working on there. So I have high suspicions that maybe they originally planned to expand that spot on the map, but perhaps it was cut completely. Boinko. What do you know
this
about Boinko?
This will be good.
What do you know about Boinko?
Okay, so what do I know about Boinko? It's just the subtitle for the Oinko boss, which is Oinko, brother of Boinko, or was it Kloinko, brother of Boinko?
No, you were right. You were right. I think it's Oinko, brother of Boinko.
Yeah, so it's the subtitle for Oinko. That's all I know about.
Yeah,
and I thought that Boinko was like a joke character that doesn't exist in the game, actually.
I thought the same thing when playing Red Crown Update. We were told there were 3 new bosses, and by the time I found the third one, which is Rob, I was like, okay, I guess Boinko is gonna be like a character for the future or whatever. And then I reached what used to be the bandit leader, Kloinko, and
yeah,
I didn't even
so weird.
I didn't even connect the dots on him being called Kloinko and not Boinko, and I just instantly thought, oh, so they're just making this guy Oinko's brother? That's lame. I thought it would be like a new boss. And I didn't even connect that wasn't Boinko, it was Cloinko, it's a third guy. We have 3 names that sound the same now. And yeah, I still don't know anything about Boinko other than it's alleged Oinko's brother. And now Titus is gonna tell us what the lore says.
Well, I'll try. The most bizarre thing about Boinko is that he is only mentioned once, and it is in the description of Oinko when you fight him. The other mention of his brother's plural form is when he talks about his brothers, but I think he means the bandits that he lives with in the abandoned ruins in his sector, in his area. He refers to them as his brothers because in his weapon description, it says he only has a brother who definitely is Kloinko because we know that, well, we assume it from the naming convention, Oinko, Kloinko. And then Boinko comes out of nowhere and ruins this theory completely. Oinko's avant-garde fighting style separates him from his brother, one brother, and gains him scoffs from the uninitiated. Scoffs meaning they're not very happy about him. They negatively speak about him. Yet both brothers' reputations are high with big K. So these 2 brothers, Oinko and Kloinko. But where does Boinko fall into the equation? I do not know.
What is this rabbit hole we're getting in?
Maybe
you're confusing me even more than I already was. I thought Boinko was Oinko's brother.
Yeah, but I guess Boinko it's just Kloinko. They forgot how they named him.
Do we really think that? I think that's underestimating an exile. I don't think they forgot.
I have read through many texts in the entire game. I believe it is either the case of one dev completely messing up and writing Boinko and Kloinko, or it's a joke, as you've said before, or maybe Oinko has a lost brother, Boinko.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then Kloinko is just some fucking guy that's casually named like them and has nothing to do with them whatsoever.
I like the lost brother theory.
No, Dodacku, that's also not true because Kloinko's description, his title, I think it refers to Oinko as well, doesn't it?
Yes, he is brother of Oinko. I can guarantee you that subtitle wasn't there at some point. They added it. This is the first time I see it. Well, now I'm completely lost. Yeah, they must have like misnamed Boinko or it's a joke. One of the two.
We have to finish the talk about Boinko because we'll never finish. Like it just keeps on dragging on.
Yeah, it's one of the best entries actually.
The wizard set, an unused set that you can actually wear and it has its own stats and everything. It's basically done, but it's not included in the game. Magic doesn't exist in this game, and it's sadly looking like it's never gonna be. So I'm curious what they're gonna do with the wizard set, actually. It looks absolutely like a starter set because it only gives one stat. I think it was Faith that it gave. The set is actually used for an NPC in Buckling's Shrine, which is the keeper of records that basically has a bunch of text explaining the most basic mechanics of the game. That's basically it from the wizard set.
It's impossible to obtain only through the matter of cheating it in.
Yeah, basically. You gotta alter drop tables, find the assets for the wizard set and put it somewhere else.
Well, that's how we've done it, but...
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see if Nexel decides to keep this in the game or not, because we know that magic won't come in the Phantom update. So what are they gonna do with this set?
All I know is I want the wizard's hat to be in the game.
I agree.
I mean, it already is, right? They just have to make it obtainable.
Yeah, that would be good.
In the meantime, I do enjoy wearing the wizard set and freaking people out that have completed the game and don't know how to get it.
Yeah, I was jump scared by, I think was Masitao in Boggling Shrine. The first time I saw that, I was like, how did I miss this?
Where is it?
How can I obtain this hat? It's so cool.
Something that
It is
also
great.
pops to mind is that Trapezius, one of the devs of this game, has revealed, maybe on purpose, maybe not, in his screenshots from Unity, where he's exploring game files or a model, that there is an alchemist set. I am very excited about this. I would like to know what it's about. Maybe it's an improved version of this wizard set, just the name is different. But I'm having high hopes that it has something to do with the announced new ranged weapon type. And yeah, let's say no more. Let your imagination wander there. Prison text refers to the text that you can see in prison, but on the map. It is the long text that's too blurry to read out because it uses a weird font and the quality isn't too great on the map itself. But I have reached out to the dev and he was, well, nice enough to send me the original image, and I have it right here. And this basically speaks of the High Order, Justicer Greg, and him completing and renovating, restoring the Redfin prison. And this is actually also mentioned in the game somewhere. I think it is the description of one of the warden's set items, where it says that the renovation of the Redfin prison has taken place, and the warden has got the new key, but he didn't have the time to hook up the padlocks to the cells. So the security of the prison wasn't too great, despite it being renovated. It also says that High Justicer Greg has written an edict that says the madmen born under the Star of Redfin are to rot in prison for the rest of their life. So it's a testament that stands of the High Order being in pursuit of the law and enforcing it over
You're telling me
all
all
Redfins.
this? All this is in a note that is not readable in game?
Yes. And
That's crazy, dog.
to make it even more interesting, I figured all of this out without access to this file. I was so happy to finally read through this because it only confirmed my speculation about the lore of the game.
What I like about this entry is that it's basically one of the first things you see in the game, but you don't care about it. You just glimpse over it and go on with your quest. But actually going through the text is so obscure that it's so fitting in this deep in the iceberg. Even if the text is not that interesting, I really like this entry.
I haven't revealed everything it says. I think
Oh.
there are many details about it. The general idea, I think I've conveyed it quite well. Cockatrice's escape.
We entered the territory where I don't know anything now. So I guess you mean the cage behind the arena? That's what I noticed, but I don't know if anything in the game mentions it. I'm guessing they were keeping Cockatrice in this cage and then it escaped somehow, but I don't know how. So enlighten me.
I will read the descriptions of a couple of items, okay?
Okay.
The first one is the meat hammer's description. Famished knights use this to tenderize their meat while they hunt it. I don't remember exactly which armor piece or item the description is on, but it basically said that the famished knights, or the knights of the famished fortress, they hunt monsters. They use the exotic animals in their dishes, so this is a delicacy from them that comes from distant lands, other realms. And I think cockatrice is like a very big catch that they had, that they were transporting up from the bog beach, which, by the way, as you know, a beach is next to an ocean. So we only look at the heights from the face value kind of the camera of the world that we see.
Yeah.
if you look at the heights as a vertical space that expands up, you can imagine there being an ocean or a sea around it. So the cockatrice had to arrive from a different realm to Bog Beach. They transported it up, and it escaped just before reaching the fungal fields and the fortress of the famished. So their exotic animal, which the meat of they tenderize with their meat hammers, has run loose. It broke out of the cage.
That's so cool.
It didn't run too far, to be fair.
It was. I was.
Was tired from the trip.
Yeah, a certain mudman came along and he showed her.
That's very cool, actually, and it would give cockatrice more meaning in the game, because right now I don't think we have much context about cockatrice. It's just a big monster there.
Well, it's certainly like it comes from outside the game. Like it's a bit of a legend, right? So they're giving it this backstory of it being some extremely rare creature coming from maybe what, like Tito said, some very distant land. And basically the famished want to eat them.
Yep,
The
100%
famished.
speculation though. I just made it up.
Yeah, but it seems very plausible. I also
Yeah.
thought about it.
And would
that way.
explain the cage also. Cool, very cool.
We enter the depths of Bog, and in here we have Morkazar. Rikkukun.
Okay, Morkazar. You did play Jumping Quest many times. You launched it from Steam. And if you see this splash art, you can kind of guess that the lady under the title is the Bog Mother. Then we have the old man, Percy, and Krulk, and some mudmen fighting it. But there is another guy in the top left, which we don't know anything about. And when I was playing, I guess he was like a monk for the Bog Mother since he's behind her. Now that we know basically everything about the early access, we know that the monks for the Bog Mother religion don't have that outfit. And how do we know that that guy in the splash art is called Morkazar? I honestly discovered this when looking through the files from the Nexile posts on the site, because I don't think this guy is even in the game files. I think he's only in this splash art, and that's it. And we don't know anything about him. I was just guessing for the Bog Mother religion, but anything goes, honestly. That outfit is unique in the game.
The file is called Jumping Quest character key Morkazar, which means he's a key character to the lore or to the game. So you would expect him to at least have any tiny mention or relevance even in the current build of the game. What do you think about his appearance and his features?
About the feature, I don't feel confident enough about guessing, but I think I remember us talking about his horns specifically and how they could be related to the barbarian class, maybe. Some sort of common origin there from Morkazar and barbarians. Maybe the barbarian is coming from Morkazar's tribe, or it has the same origin. Beyond that, I have no clue who this guy is or what his connections are.
On the Great Helm description, it actually says, a great helm that calls back to the style of the ancient Jump Kings. The horns stand as proof of the wearer's skill, for the tribes of the Great Frontier thusly display their grandest hunting trophies. Maybe, just like you've said, Morkazar is connected to those tribes of barbarians. And maybe Sogols, or the God of Light.
It seems quite obvious that the other character that we don't know anything about because it's only mentioned, at least it's mentioned. So we have like stronger hints that that's her, right? The Bog Mother. What do you guys think? Are they gonna be in the game for the release? Do you think we're gonna see these two? Do you think Morkazar is gonna be a boss?
This is a very good question, honestly. I think the Bog Mother will be in the final release. I think. Maybe in a side quest. We are
I really hope
seeing
so.
we're seeing some hints about side quests. I guess they will expand on
The
this.
bug, to me, the bug is such an iconic part of the Jankim universe. It would be such a shame if we didn't interact with the bug mother in some like more direct capacity than just
Yeah.
using the TPs and seeing the monks. The only thing missing is her. So I really wish we can see her. And
Yeah.
about the boss, I wanted to say it's confirmed that the next update is going to bring 3 major bosses, it says. Maybe that means we're going to get like maybe some world bosses or maybe some considered minor bosses. And I assume the 3 major bosses are going to be history related. And as we know, chances are Greg and Krolk are there. Who's the third one? Is it Morkazar? What do you guys think?
Or Percy.
Is it Percy? Yeah.
I honestly
yeah.
thought of Percy when they said
Me
3
too. Me
major
too.
bosses, honestly.
For sure. He's there in the cards. I'm just really curious. What do you think it is?
Since we're going this far, I wouldn't say we were mining the files or data mining anything, but the things that were there, by kind of searching on the surface, we found a certain enemy called a mud bull, and he resembles, with his horns and appearance maybe, the Morkazar character. Although
Mud Bull.
Mud bull. Maybe he was an early design for Oinko, but I am not at liberty to say I don't know. Although, when looking at the Bogmother, I don't know about the bosses. I don't have an opinion about that. I think you already mentioned the obvious ones. But when you look at the Bogmother, something I did notice is that she carries a signet or a ring that maybe will become an item in the game, or perhaps is her mean of communicating with her handmaidens. But I think it's a cool detail. I don't know. I would like to meet the Bogmother even through just the conversation or of some sort of travel that you do. But
I would love a
it's
revisit to the
far-fetched.
bog itself. I would love maybe some deep entrance that we need a key for or something like that, and she's just there chilling, and maybe we get to talk to her. I don't know. Anything would
awesome.
be better than nothing.
Yeah, honestly, I was a bit underwhelmed when I finished the side quest for Brother Speculus. I thought that would lead to the Bogmother, and when it just ended with the holy water, I was very disappointed. I was
I
hyping
think
it
we
up
need
so
more.
much.
The quests are really cool. The ones that they're there. I think we need more of them, and I think the cooler the rewards, the better they're gonna be.
Yeah. By the way, wrapping it up with Morkazar, my head canon is that he's somehow linked to the Bogmother, I hope. And in the final release, we will see him and the Bogmother. Because it's weird that Morkazar is just behind the Bogmother. It's a pretty unique placement. The other guys are all on the other side of the splash art, and he's just behind Bogmother. Just a little food for thought.
It's a good point.
Percy Cell is something that up until very recently I only knew about because of a game description, which is the metal pipe, basically the first weapon that we get. By the place we find this metal pipe, a bent pipe from Percy Cell. That's basically it. But we don't really get anything that tells us where Percy Cell is. Well, funnily enough, it was right in front of our faces all this time. You can see right here where you pick up the pipe, a broken door, basically. A broken door that both we and Titus maybe haven't seen, even though we both sped around the game. We've been here like hundreds of times, and up until like maybe 2 or 3 days ago, we did not see this door at all, and it gives a whole new context to what was Percy's door exactly, how he escaped, and why is the metal pipe bent. And I just find it super cool that there's such a details in plain sight, but at the same time extremely hidden. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but show
They're
you
kind
guys.
of there in plain sight, but at the same time they're in the background and very subtle.
Yes. I also want to point out, now that we're talking about Percy, a very cool detail regarding the map, where right above Percy's cell, there's a huge hole on the map
It's
and a drop
humongous.
down. It's extremely big. It's like bigger than any door that we go through in the prison. So I always wonder what's that exactly. Is Percy pretending? Is Percy pretending that he got captured like us and got inside the prison by this hole? But because he definitely didn't get out of the prison through this hole. We see where he gets out from. I mean, we guess, but he at least plays out the idea of going through the jump above the latrine, right? I've always been really curious about this whole rind above Percy's cell.
Yeah, it seems like he doesn't care, but he goes through all this trouble to make you fight the warden and always kind of nudges you forward, specifically, even though you probably know that he has tried with many other madmen from this prison to escape before. It really isn't clear what's going on
And
here, and this is
he's
very
very
cool.
nonchalant about it as well. He's very
Yeah.
chill. He's never in such a thing that we could call worry.
The way he presents himself hides his true intentions really well, because he just jokes off everything and doesn't seem too serious about everything that is going on during this ascent, during this adventure, both yours and his. Also, how does Percy completely obliterate the grate, the cell door that he has? What force would he have to use to destroy metal doors
With
into
just a
little
pipe.
pieces without any
Yeah.
items, supposedly, if he really were captured?
Yeah, I guess he just punched the cell.
No, I think he used the pipe, right?
No, I think the pipe comes out of the
You think
door, like it's
the
part
pipe
of
comes
the.
out of the door?
Yeah, I think that too.
You have okay. That's a valid theory as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he just punched his way out, and the metal pipe came out.
My initial idea was always using the pipe to destroy the door itself, but okay, I think both are feasible.
Dodacku also mentioned to me that Percy perhaps is the one that drops the hot dog for us here, knowing we'll go through here.
Either way, it sounds very very possible as well. Yeah, would make a lot of sense.
The
almost as if-
the eternal hot dog is not just a simple item. It's the core. It seems like an item of great value. It's a piece
sure.
of food that you can eternally consume. It seems like an item of a god, perhaps.
I could say like the most valuable item that you get in your journey. It's the most important thing, your source of healing. I was gonna say everything looks as if Percy knows what we're gonna do, where we're gonna go.
Yeah, it's staged. Almost seems staged. Like it was all made for us.
Yeah, Percy will be a very interesting character going to the end of the game.
Can you imagine if he's just overconfident twat and he just gets one shot by Croc and we don't see him ever again, and all of this
That
was
would be
just
funny too.
absolute mental gymnastics that we've done all along for nothing.
I don't
Yeah, it
think.
could
That would be funny in itself, to be honest.
He could be a red herring, honestly.
Yeah, red herring.
Maybe.
I think that such a complex character building doesn't culminate into a one-time joke of Percy just getting squashed.
I could see Exile doing anything, to be honest.
I believe Nexile provides like a very engaging experience and story building, even to just one character in the game. Well, Percy does seem very important.
Percy does seem very important for sure.
So just knocking him off with one hit, it doesn't seem too plausible.
Hey, what the hell is Bearpig? I'm sick of this. I would need to know what the hell is Bearpig, Titus.
So
What is
I
Bearpig?
have zero clue, zero. I don't even know what to guess, honestly.
I know what this is. There's this weapon that looks like a table leg, and it's called bird pick.
Okay,
Okay.
Dodacku is completely right. It is a very weak weapon. It's horrendous. It's really bad.
Okay.
It has a very bad scaling of D or E, I think, on all the attributes. Its attacks are slow and weak. But why is it here in the layer 5? That's because I have only seen it inside the engine that I booted up to look for the files during gameplay when I were in Redfin prison, which would suggest that this weapon is strictly bound to the starting classes. So some starting class, some inclination that was planned, maybe had this particular weapon tested. It was in the making process, but has never been modeled properly. Your guess is as good as any as to what exactly this weapon is, although the name Bird Pick would suggest it is some sort of aviary character, a bird character. It is a pick, so it might be a pickaxe, but it also is connected with a bird. I thought maybe it would drop out of the tyrants or something like that. I don't know. The fact that it exists in the game and it's never mentioned, unlike the spiked shield, which actually dropped from earlier, this is not accessible. It's really hard to find. I was very lucky to spot it.
You said you never managed to get this in game, right? You
No,
did it on
I
the.
have. Just like you can kind of cheat in the wizard set, I could edit the
You
drop
found
tables.
it in. Okay, I just looked for it now in the item asset inside the prison, and I couldn't find it. But
That's what I
maybe
mean. Why is it such a rare discovery?
maybe it's just not even named bird pick at all in the files.
So this is like the most obscure weapon in the game after Spiked Shield.
Yeah, and this one isn't even. We didn't even get to like experience it the normal way, let's say, because the spike shield used to just drop, right? It was just a normal drop, a very weird weapon that it wasn't really very functional, but at least was in the game.
Yeah, I was looking at the model and it's cool.
Oh,
Also,
and
what
it has a
are
description.
those?
Hold on. It says
That's just
a ceremonial pick in the shape of a bird's beak.
Oh,
Maybe this is an alternative to the wandering stick that the monk was supposed to have or something.
perhaps those are just unused items that are in the game.
Child of Grudats, I think, is the boss we encounter in Cave of Glee. That's all I know, honestly. That's as far as I can think of. Because it's Grode, Child of Grudats. I think it's the subtitle.
It's his subtitle, yes. That's all I know as well.
Well, we already know that there's an inevitable connection between frogs and the Grudus cult, and that they might be some sort of worshipped creature that has a relevance in this religion, if you can call it that. Although the item descriptions call it like a manifestation. The Child of Grudas, that has some link, at least, to how madmen exist in the world of the Heights. Madmen are said to spawn into the world. They're not born. Even in the description and in the promotional text that Nexile has put out, they say that they've been spawned under the
Yes.
constellation. And so frogs have their spawns when they repopulate, right? Madmen can breathe underwater. Have you noticed that as well?
Yeah.
And they can stay underwater for a long time. I mean, they are mudmen.
Ooh,
So
I
are
see
the
where you're going with this.
Yeah, so are humans actually descendants of frogs? Is that not a very far-fetched idea? And how frogs are also very tightly intertwined with chaos itself. Like, are they what causes the chaos in the world? That goes.
This is crazy.
That goes a long way, I think.
I saw this theme coming. We jump and also do frogs. So I guess the joke is that. So there are a lot of frogs in the game because we jump high. That's what I got from the game.
Yeah, but
Okay.
that barely scratches the surface, I would say. If the frogs bury themselves in mud during winter, right, to freeze their bodies completely. Not hibernate, they freeze.
To me, it's crazy because everything makes so much sense, and I never thought about it.
I only thought about this when answering this question as I went. It started making sense out of a silly question that somebody posed. So, it seemed silly at the time, but it isn't really silly.
Well, the only thing I would say is that maybe humans are not descendant from frogs, but mudmen are, right? Because
In this game, there is no talk of humans per se, actually.
Well, his question says humans, but it's
Yeah,
relevant,
well,
yeah.
it's not very precise, I would say, the question.
I see the relations and I'm liking it very much. I never thought about it this way.
Nobody can deny that frogs play a huge role in this game.
Frog Knight could be linked to all of this?
Oh yes, he definitely is, because in his note, he refers to the frogs as his kin. He says that he will leave to retrieve a boon of great power, probably to tackle the problem of Croak.
So it's as if the Frog Knight knows about this relation between and knows where the mudmen come from.
Maybe he knows something we don't, you're right. And he is venturing on his quest with a certain objective, knowing something we don't. And it makes more sense to him than to us, because, well, we will see. But
I love this.
goes
I love
nowhere.
this
Yeah.
topic. I didn't think we'd get so much from it.
Yeah, it's a cool theory and theme in general. So we can say that the Bog Mother and Grudats are kind of tied together somehow.
Well, this only makes me feel even worse about killing the frogs, not gonna lie, guys.
Yeah.
Save the frogs. Very
So what do
innocent.
we know about Grudats in the game?
Not
Other
much.
than he's
I'd
a
say.
force of chaos.
Yes, Force of Chaos and like this primordial apparition.
Could be one of the ancient gods as well.
Yes, he's like a deity, but he envelops beings and twists them with the primordial chaos in such a way that they forget who they are and they become chaos themselves, as you can see in the Grudas goons and in cultists that are completely bonkers. By just the animations, you can tell there's something wrong with their heads.
Also, maybe the kind of plague going on in fungal fields. Maybe it's also tied to all of this. PCs there are kind of scared of something.
They
Like
do
a
mention the plague. Yeah, they do. There is some sort of plague going on.
Yeah, but I guess that those side quests are not finished clearly, so maybe we will see.
This
final
this is
release.
also like spoiler territory, but since we sadly don't know if we'll ever gonna get this or not, I want to show you as well one of those PNGs that we have in the files where you can clearly see other Grodas related enemies were being designed for sure. This is all the heads that we have.
Oh,
That's so
And-
cool. I know for a fact the one on the bottom is called Heavy, right? Grudas Heavy.
Yes, and the other bloated one is called Sorcerer. The other three are the
right.
ones we know: the Champion, the Goon, and the Cultist.
Sorcerer.
So cool.
That's right. There were supposed to be a couple of those sorcerers. Oh, man.
Yeah, I guess they delayed the magic stuff in general, and they
Indefinitely.
I think they had it. We have the final entry, which is Snake Collective.
Yeah, I've got no clue, man.
Maybe let's just say, let's just make sure what the collective part means. It means that it's a collection of some sort, that there are multiple instances of something. A gathering of many things or beings. Why the snake?
I'm still clueless because all I know about snakes is there's one in New Wave Plus, and in the development status, there's another serpent there. That's all I know.
Yeah, that was what I would have said. Like, we saw the splash art for the snake.
It has some allegedly modman working for her,
Yeah,
doing some slave work.
you know, the snake in UB Plus.
Yeah.
seems like a higher being, seems kind of immortal or divine. So maybe that's the same snake. We could also talk about that.
It
But
definitely claims to be immortal.
Will you bring her something in exchange of the snake ring that she gives
yeah,
you?
you bring it a gem that drops from the white bird in New Bay Plus.
Is the
Y-
bloodstone.
The bloodstone, yeah. You take it and then you bring it to the snake and he gives you the snake ring. My theory about the snake in the latest splash art is that maybe we will see a snake that's tied to curses because he basically curses us in New Bay Plus, so maybe that's tied to the new curse system somehow. But if Titus put this in the final layer, I guess he's into something else.
Many of these last entries, far-fetched idea, but what I have seen from a fan-made document on the OG Jump King lore is that the Snake Collective, or the collective consciousness that manifests itself as a snake, at first it just disregards the Jump King when he approaches her, or it, or them, the collective. But once Jump King goes back to retrieve and deliver the Bloodstone, it shows a certain interest in Jump King. And it considers, well, I would even go out and say that recruiting Jump King, and whether that means becoming part of the collective or to work for the snake consciousness, I don't know. You did mention that the snake gives Jump King the snake ring to aid him, I guess, in pushing his limits. And I have forgotten to say that the snake consciousness, it possesses an absolute will. It's something that it says. It gives a really powerful impression on me that there is this thing of absolute will. And it's something that the OG Jump King has through sheer determination of his ascent, of climbing, despite all the setbacks he encounters. And
Also, Absolute Will is the name of the achievement when you finish the game with the Snake Ring. How is this tied to Jump King Quest?
At first, I thought that it's just some backstory mention, but once I saw the snake in the teaser in Jump King Quest, it has become apparent that it will be a big part of the lore because they're supposed to give us cutscenes. Work
I'm
on
so
intro
curious.
and ending cutscene is in progress, is what the teaser says. The giant snake enslaving Mudman in some infernal machine with shadows in the background. This is intriguing.
This is kind of headcanon territory, but I always viewed the snake in New Bay Plus as kind of tied to the Dark Faith. I don't know. When I saw the Dark Faith in Jumping Quest, I instantly linked it to the snake. Their symbol kind of resembles a snake eye, and also we find the snake in New Bay Plus in a Dark Sanctum, something like that.
Yeah, and the colors maybe remind you of the Dark Faith as well, right?
It's similar. It has a similar palette to Demon Baron Keep. Maybe they will expand on this Dark Faith and show the snake again. Because it would be kind of weird to not have the snake in the final release and have the teaser with the snake. Probably would be the same snake as in original Jump King.
The first thing that popped to my mind was the connection to the Dark Faith, and I was looking for that particular symbol. Although I haven't found it in the original Jump King map, yeah, the color theme of the purples and dark and blacks, they seem like a clear relation.
Yeah, I always viewed like Nube Plus in general, and especially the top areas, as like very cryptic and dark and somehow regal, The Sanctum where the snake resides and also the Dark Tower kind of give the same vibes as Demon Baron Keep. My headcanon is that the snake will give us the curses. Let's see.
I put it as the last entry because it opens up interpretation on what the future of Jump King Quest will be lore-wise. this talk gives you some sort of perspective on what it can be, and knowing that there is this absolute will in Jump King to climb endlessly with great effort, and the Bloodstone being in place of the Snake Ring, which was given to Jump King, etc. It gives a lot of opportunity for theorizing around that particular subject.
Yeah, you're right. Also, the eye in the crown Kralk has, it's also similar to the snake eye, and also it's red. So maybe even that is tied to the snake ring and
Absolutely, maybe
bloodstone.
this.
Yeah, this is all stuff we'll see in the later part of the game, I'm guessing. So we'll have to wait for final release, sadly.
When that final release comes out, we'll see. Whether we get everything we want or not, I think we can all agree that Nexile's done a superb job with Jump King Quest, and we only wish the devs the best on their future projects if development stops after 1.0 release, which we're all hoping it doesn't, because it's gonna blow out of the water the sales and the reviews and everything is gonna be revitalized by 1.0, and we'll get 3 more patches after.
And
But
prolong
yeah, anyways,
the life of this game.
it's
Yeah, no,
it's a real gem. It's a real gem of a game. Even if the 1.0 doesn't deliver on everything and every lore stuff,
For me,
I'm just happy we got this game. It's so cool.
the game has already delivered way more than what I expected initially when I saw the first trailer. Whatever adds on to that wonderful experience I had with my friends can only be welcome, right? If anything, it's crazy that given the circumstances there, they decided to push the 1.0 release earlier to make sure in the worst case scenario the game is finished.
Seems like a gift for the community more than anything.
You can really tell they love their project.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not in it
really...
for the money. They just want to make a cool game
exactly.
that they love and that they are proud to share.
Yeah, they really want to polish this as much as they can and deliver a complete package for the 1.0.
What the game becomes, we will see. But right now I want to put my hands together for Rikkukun and Dodacku for agreeing to be a part of this podcast about the Jump King Quest Iceberg. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
This wouldn't be the
was
same without
super
you. And I had a great time. I hope people listening will have as much fun as we had. And I hope
Absolutely.
to see you in another one as well.
Every Jump King Quest project, I'm on it. I love icebergs. I hope we did a good job with this one. Just the image, I hope it's cool.
The thoughts are closed. We're done. Good night, boys.